But instead, you are following the same patterns that everybody else has gone through of following what we have been trained into and we have been programmed into. And so this is the reason why you're getting the same results as everybody else, because your body is designed to heal itself naturally, but instead we are taught to manage symptoms and manage diseases, or ignoring the symptoms that we're having and not realize what they are, or not make the connections of what's happening inside of our body. And so instead of us supporting our body the way that we're intended to, we do more harm than good. And so instead of us realizing that we are in a silent epidemic as a society, we don't even talk about it. We just understand the fact that, okay, well, people have diabetes, people have high blood pressure, people have PCOS and fibroids, and we make it normal. We're just like, oh, okay, that's something that we're suffering from. But you don't realize that millions of women are dealing with the same issue, and then these millions of women are doing the same thing. It's not just a few, but it's millions of women. And hormonal disorders like PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis, cysts, you having autoimmune conditions, all of these not only are treatable and preventable, but they're also not something that you have to suffer from and make it normal. Because fatigue has been made normal. Painful menstrual cycles have been dismissed and made normal. And so we sit here and think that all of the signs and symptoms that go along with this, of like brain fog, weight fluctuation, you having fatigue, you being bloated, you dealing with emotional eating, or you having PMS symptoms overall in general, these things are normal. When in reality, your body is not supposed to be doing these things unless you are in a fight or flight distress state. So when you are in a distressed state, your body's going to start giving you signs to say like, hey, something is wrong. This is an imbalance. This isn't working for me. Hey, do you realize that you eat a whole bunch of toxins and you don't support me in flushing and resetting? And so all the toxins that you keep consuming are piling up. This is the reason why you're gaining weight. This is the reason why you wake up with no energy, because you're malnourished. Even though you eat all day and you eat tons of foods, you still aren't getting nourishment in the foods that you consume. And so when you sit here and you do all of these and you have all these signs and you have all these symptoms and you ignore them, this is how you lead yourself to having chronic illnesses. This is how you lead yourself to having diseases that you feel like aren't treatable, so then you have to manage them for the rest of your life. You sit here and do a surgery because you want to be out of pain. You want a quick fix. You don't want to have to deal with this. You can't deal with it because you want to be out of pain. You want a quick fix. You don't want to have to deal with this. You can't deal with it because of the space that you're in. Maybe you have family members or kids or etc. And so many women are dealing with the same issue, and the question is, why is nobody finding a solution to heal? Why are millions of women not healing from the same issue if there are many women dealing with PCOS, fibroids, cysts, and etc.? The reason why is because they experience these hormonal disruptions, but they aren't taught how to heal them. They aren't taught the steps. And instead of us, we're sitting here dealing with the issue by thinking that this is normal. So then 80% of women have this, and we think that, oh, you just have to deal with this for the rest of your life. This is what you do for the rest of your life. You have to take this birth control until somehow your fibroid disrupts itself. Or you have to take this to balance your hormones because you're estrogen dominant. And then you wonder why, after you've been taking birth control for 5 to 10 years or plus however many years, you can't have children. You're having issues with your hormones even more than what you were before. You're having all this weight gain. It's because it completely throws off your balance, because you're not healing. You're not supporting the body in healing. You're just managing and keeping it alive. Instead of keeping it alive, let's learn what we need to do to heal. So instead of holding on to this part of, it's just a part of being a woman and this is just what you have to go through, start releasing that mindset and start releasing the thing of, I have to manage this and I'm going to have to deal with this the rest of my life, and start to get into the space of, this was all a lie. I've been taught how to feed myself terrible toxins, so I'm going to remove myself away from the space that has been lying to me about what I should be doing for my body, and start realizing this is how you start healing. You start using food as your medicine. You stop using all these chemical products. You stop using them around your home as well as on your body. You start actually supporting your system and getting back to the space of releasing toxins and flushing these toxins. But excuse me. But first, you need to know what's going on inside of your body, as well as you need to know how to read your labels and understanding what's going on with your products. I don't understand why in the world this big truck parks here and then they get ready to leave. Makes no sense. We're going to wait for them to leave so then they can stop making up all this noise. So first concept or misconception that we have to get rid of and we have to release is thinking that there is something wrong with your body, that your body is the problem. Hi boo, how are you? Welcome in. Because your body is not the problem, your body is not broken. It's responding to what you give it to. So you give it a bunch of toxins, you make it in fight or flight mode, you give it all of this crap, and then it's responding to that. It's trying to help you understand that, hey, this is not what I need. And so instead of you healing like it's supposed to, it's trying to heal, but it can't. And so the reasons why is because it's struggling because you're not supporting it. So instead of it healing, you're sitting here dealing with all the issues of fatigue. You're dealing with the weight fluctuation. You're dealing with the mental fog. You're dealing with the PMS. You're dealing with painful menstrual cycles. You're dealing with irregular cycles or heavy cycles. And then you sit here and you manage it with the pill, with the surgery, or you sit here and try to take birth control, right? And this does not reset your system. Instead of resetting your system, in return, what it does is just add in and pile on more toxins, or allow the disease to thrive in the space that it's in, allows the illness to thrive in the space that it's in. And so actually, instead of you putting yourself back into a balanced state, you're putting yourself more out of balance, more out of line. And the result of this is going to give you the same thing that you're dealing with, which is more issues with your health. Illnesses, diseases, leading you to having cancer, you letting parasites thrive in the space that you are currently in. You are conditioned into this space, so it's not your fault, but it should be your mission and your drive to figure out what is going on with your body and how to help it, how to solve the issue. Because a lot of y'all are not putting two and two together, that your body can heal itself from a cut. You can get a paper cut, it heals. You can break a bone, it heals. You can break your back, you can break your neck, you can break your arm, you can break your foot, you can break a toe, you can break a finger, right? You can get a paper cut on your face, your arm, your leg, etc., and it heals itself naturally. You don't have to sit there and focus in on it and stare at it and go, heal. I need you to heal. Oh, I need to focus on this so you can heal. So why is your body not doing the same thing that it can do externally? The reason why is internally you're blocked. Because let's say, think about the fact that when you have a scab, for instance, I feel like we've all been told this. What are you told when you have a scab? When you have a scab on your body after you get a cut, it's deep, it's shallow, whatever. They tell you the same thing. You leave the scab alone. That's your body's way of healing. But when you don't leave the scab alone, what happens? It scars. So over that time of you having this cut and you let it go through the process, the skin starts growing back, so it scabs, and then you pick at the scab, it reopens the wound, or you give yourself some type of blemish, right? Think about that the same way, that your body keeps trying to heal, but instead of you leaving it alone, you keep picking at that scab. You keep reopening the wound. It keeps trying to replenish, it keeps trying to heal, and you just keep picking at it and opening the wound. That's what y'all do every single day. You talk about, because I talk about fasting, and people will come in and be like, well, I fast when I'm asleep, trying to make a joke and think it's funny and kiki. But I'm like, you do realize that your body can't naturally fast during the time of you sleeping, during that time of the 8 to 10 hours that you're supposed to be resting and your body's supposed to reset. And actually that is a part of fasting. But instead of your body being able to be in a fasting state to help you, it's sitting there trying to stay alive. So you're not even fasting during the time that you're actually supposed to be resting, but instead your body is trying to stay alive. It's trying to keep up with all the toxins that you put in, because you eat 3 meals a day, and all 3 meals are full of toxins. You eat meat, you eat dairy, you eat processed foods, and these are making you full of toxins. And so then you think you're doing so much better and you're supporting your body because maybe you do eat a healthy lifestyle, which is a part of the standard American diet of you still eating meat and dairy and etc., because you're eating healthy, you do diet culture and etc., and then you wonder why nothing is working. It's because you have to do something different to do better. The healthy lifestyle that you are living currently right now of thinking that the standard American diet is supporting you is not. That's the reason why the acronym is SAD. Like, there is no coincidence that the standard American diet spells out SAD. Because you expect something different from doing the same exact thing, and it's not possible. You have to do better. You have to change your ways. You have to learn how to actually support your system by knowing what is going on. So let's break down what is going on. We're going to start with the gut. Let's talk about what's going on inside of your gut. The reason why your gut is completely off is because it's overrun with bad bacteria. When you are not supporting your gut biome and you have bad bacteria overloading inside of your body, you do realize that parasites thrive in this space, and your hormones are regulated by your gut as well as also your brain. So when your gut is off, your brain is going to be off. When your brain is off, your gut is automatically off. And so there are two things that go hand in hand. That's the reason why science nicknames your gut the second brain. So when you sit here and you give it a space where parasites can thrive in, when you sit here and you have hormonal imbalances because your gut is completely off from your pH in your gut, you are going to feel off. You are going to be fatigued. You're going to have no energy because you're not able to absorb the nutrients that you're consuming every single day by following your standard American diet and thinking that you're healthy. So you feel tired, you feel foggy, you feel moody, you feel like your cravings are going insane because they literally are. Your immune system is literally crashing because 70% of your immune system, over 70% of your immune system, is happening inside of your gut. So when your gut bacteria is not where it's supposed to be and you're having a bunch of overload of bad bacteria instead of the good bacteria that helps you absorb the nutrients and be balanced, then you're going to have all of these different issues going on, and they keep piling on because this is just one aspect. This is just your gut. We're not even talking about the liver, the pancreas, or the kidneys. And these are vital, essential, key areas of your body that gives you everything that you need to be thriving and alive in a space that is not toxic. So let's talk about what happens when your pancreas is overwhelmed as well. When your pancreas is overwhelmed, this is where your body's supposed to regulate your blood sugar. But when it's overwhelmed, it can't. Thank you for the follows and the likes. I really appreciate it, guys. And so every time you eat a processed foods, when you eat an overload of processed sugar, when you're sitting here eating all of this different meat and this dairy and etc., and you don't use any stabilizers in your food, but instead you eat a bunch of toxins and you just pile it on, your blood sugar gets spiked. Your blood sugar spikes itself when you eat a bunch of carbs. You start your day out with your toast and your jam and your jelly and your pancakes and etc., a whole bunch of carbs, and you don't support it with any stabilizers, your blood sugar spikes, right? And so then when your blood sugar spikes, it spikes your insulin. So then this is going to have you in a space of chronically high insulin when you do this every single day and you don't realize that you have to stabilize your blood sugar. Regardless of what time of the day is, you should be stabilizing your blood sugar. But especially in the AM, when you're first starting to break your fast and you're eating something as breakfast, you should be using stabilizers. And so when you don't use any stabilizers inside of your food and you have chronically high insulin, this is when you develop things like PCOS. This is when you develop things like weight gain and inflammation starts to thrive and flourish in your body. And then you lead yourself to having diabetes. So why in the world, if we know this in science, because this is literal science backing, if science knows that this is how you lead yourself to having diabetes, why are we promoted early in the AM to not have stabilizers in our food, but instead we're promoted to eat pork, we're promoted to eat a whole bunch of carbs, we're promoted to eat a whole bunch of inflammatory sugar, we're promoted to eat cereal, pancakes, waffles, we're promoted to eat bacon, we're promoted to eat all this different stuff, eggs, highly inflammatory foods, highly blood sugar spiking foods. And we're promoted to eat these things as soon as we break our fast. And then we wonder why by 11 o'clock we need a nap. We wonder why by 12 o'clock we have no energy. We wonder why we're having to drink coffee with our meal. You have to understand the fact that if you want to start supporting your body, you need to use food as medicine. And the way that they are teaching you with this sad lifestyle, the standard American diet, is not going to help you be able to heal yourself. If you want examples of stabilizers, you have to stay tuned to the end, because that's when I give you the solutions and the thing. We have to break down everything in order for us to be able to really get to the solution. There is no quick fast. And if you can't stay to the end, I completely understand. This live will be posted on YouTube later. I post all my past lives on YouTube. Thank you for the follow. So let's talk about what's going on inside of your liver. So we've already talked about the gut. We've talked about the pancreas. Now let's move on to the liver, and let's talk about what's going on with your liver, because this is the place that is supposed to expel the toxins. This is the place that filters out your toxins. But when you are overloaded with toxins and it's working overtime because you eat all these chemicals, you eat all these additives, you eat all this processed, terrible, toxic sugar, and then you sit here and you don't realize the power in a plant-based meal And you don't really want to eat for your health, but rather you want to eat because you want to look good. You won't sit here and worry about what's in your food, what's in your skincare. You won't worry about what's going on with your medications and your prescriptions and your surgeries and how it's affecting the body. Because even your medications have chemicals in them. They add herbs with chemicals, or just completely chemicals all together, to combine to make this pain medication, to combine to make these different things that they give you. Your insulin is literally provided with chemicals and pork. So when you get diabetes, after all of this stuff that you have done to your liver, and you develop diabetes, they put pork and then they put chemicals together, and then they give you that, and that's supposed to be your fake insulin that's supposed to go into your body and balance all your blood sugar. And then y'all wonder why your diabetes keeps getting worse and it doesn't get any better, and you just have to keep managing it. It's because y'all aren't making the connection, and they're not going to teach you these things because they want to keep you a long-term customer. That's the reason why they put a combination of inflammatory pork and inflammatory chemicals and put them together and say, this is your solution to balance your blood sugar, and telling you how to get stabilizers inside of your food. So when your liver is overloaded, your hormones are going to be off. This is going to back you up. This is how you start to develop estrogen dominance. This is when you start to have issues with your thyroid function. This is when you start to have issues with your body not being able to expel toxins. So then they have to store inside of your fat cells. They have to store and stay inside of you. And then parasites love this because this is an inflammatory state that your body is now in. And so it's thriving inside of your fat. It's thriving inside of your digestive tract. And you keep feeding it with everything that you eat because you don't realize the foods that you eat are a part of the standard American diet, which are making you sick. Your ability to detox properly has been thrown off, not because you don't know how to necessarily detox and your body doesn't know how to detox itself naturally, but because you are overloaded with toxins. You keep consuming the toxic foods thinking that this is the way that you need to do it because you're following a paleo, a keto. You're following Weight Watchers, and this is what they tell you. As long as it's in a calorie deficit, or as long as you do this and you work out, you should be fine. But they don't tell you that these terrible toxic chemicals go hand in hand with the fact that you're struggling so bad. They don't tell you the fact that when they promote to you to eat meat and dairy and processed foods, that you're toxic on the inside, and that's not supporting you and helping you. So instead of you sitting here following the same things that's making people toxic and making them sick, why not start learning how to support the body in flushing and resetting itself naturally? Detoxing and cleansing is just a part of it, but it's a big part. And not doing it just by, okay, my liver does it on its own, so I don't have to support it, but actually understanding how to effectively fast and not put yourself in a state of being uncomfortable. Understanding how to effectively support your body with flushing with fruits and vegetables. Understanding how these are your stabilizers. Realize the fact that when you are sitting here dealing with issues in the kidney, and your kidney is struggling because all these other systems of your liver, your gut, your pancreas are off, your kidney is also going to be struggling because this is the filter for your blood. When your liver is working overtime and it has all these toxins to expel and it can't, it starts to leak inside of your bloodstream, as well as your gut. When your gut biome is off, you start to have leaky gut. So you have two areas that are leaking toxins inside of your body, and this goes directly to your bloodstream. So now your bloodstream is struggling. And so when your bloodstream is sitting here like, your kidney is sitting here trying to filter your blood, and you have poor quality blood because you're not hydrated. You have no oxygen on the cellular level. So these two things are allowing inflammation to thrive, as well as the fact that when you come in contact with cancer, it can no longer fight it. Because when oxygen is in the space, when hydration is on a cellular level, it cannot thrive in that space. That's the reason why we come in contact with cancer every single day, and you don't develop cancer. But when you have a space overloaded with toxins, and you're in your 50s and you're in your 60s, and you are giving it a space of thriving because you've been doing this for 40 years, you've been doing this for 50 years to your body, yeah, you're going to develop cancer, and it's not going to be treatable. Yeah, you're going to develop these issues that you now think that you have to take chemo for. But there are people who even have success stories, and you can look it up. They're all over Facebook, because I know people love Facebook. They're all over Facebook talking about the success stories of people getting diagnosed with cancer, getting diagnosed with different things. And they do a fruit cleanse, a vegetable cleanse. They sit here and go to a plant-based lifestyle, not flip and do it for 1 month and then completely go back to what they were doing, but actually live the lifestyle. And they healed themselves from cancer. No chemo, no radiation. And cancer is the #1 unaliver on this earth. So you're telling me that you don't believe that a plant-based lifestyle can help you be able to completely heal your body, and people are healing from cancer, the thing that takes out all the people that it comes in contact with, not all of them, but all the people that it comes in contact with, how it really does them and drags them through the mud and could eventually take them out? Really sit back and realize that you have been misled and misconstrued to believe that there is no other solution besides following Western medicine's management. They're band-aids. They don't help you heal. They help you manage to keep coming back as a customer. They don't want you to heal because then you won't need them. When you realize that your body can heal itself from the natural things that come from the earth, the fruits and vegetables, what do you need them for? When you realize that you don't need to jump and run to the doctor every single time you get a cough or sniff, your child gets a cough or sniffle, every single time you feel like something is off inside of your body, or you think that you need to get a pap smear because you feel like you might have something going on in your womb, you need to get a blood test because you feel like your hormones are off. When you start to realize that eating is the key to everything that you were looking for, what do you need them for? Like, really break that down. When you start to learn how to naturally heal yourself with holistic medicine, what do you need them for? And that's the reason why they don't want to help you heal. So when you sit here and you actually properly support the kidney the way you're supposed to and get the hydration, eat the foods that you need, it cleanses the blood. But when you're not, it cannot cleanse your blood. So when you're eating things like dark leafy greens, when you're eating the different fruits that you need to be flushing and supporting your body because it has a high water concentration, these are how you stabilize yourself. This is how you help your body heal. So for the person that was in here asking me, what are natural stabilizers? It's food. Stabilizers come from your food. You don't need a supplement. You don't need a prescription. You don't need a tincture. You need to use food as your medicine. Stop using all the chemical products, but food is the first thing that we have to focus in on. And so when you're sitting here and you're thinking about the fact that you have no energy, maybe you have brain fog, you can't remember things, you're having mental fog, fatigue, etc., you have to realize that your brain and your gut are directly connected. Like I said, science has nicknamed your gut the second brain. So 95% of your serotonin is coming not only from the brain and producing stuff from the hormones that come from your brain, but also in the gut. So your mood is depicted by how healthy your gut biome is. So when you're sitting here thinking about, oh, my mood is off, I'm not feeling good, I'm having PMS symptoms, etc., look at what you've been eating and how you've been supporting the gut. Think about, is your gut off or is it in peace? Because more likely than not, your gut is off. Are you dealing with bloating? Are you dealing with fluctuation? Are you dealing with sensitivity? Are you dealing with all the mood swings? Because usually your gut is off. And so you're sitting here thinking like, why am I so tired? Why am I so bloated? Why am I struggling? And it's not because you're lazy or you're undisciplined or that you don't want to do these things. It's because you're overloaded with inflammation. And so your body is sitting here trying to figure out how to balance itself, and it's trying to figure out what it needs to do or give you the signs to put two and two together to figure out what you need to do to help you be able to help it internally. And so you sit here and you do the same thing and you're expecting a different result, and you're not realizing that you sitting here thinking like, oh, okay, I'm going to take this turmeric because it's an anti-inflammatory, or I'm going to wake up and I'm going to drink lemon water because this is what they do and this is how you be able to help yourself in a diet space. Okay, I'm going to do keto or paleo or Weight Watchers or Whole30, and you're not dealing with the fact that you still have terrible toxic habits. So then when you're done with that Whole30, you're done with that keto, you're done with the paleo, you're done with the Weight Watchers, you're going to flop back to the habits that made you toxic. You are not designed to stay in a space to be sick, but all of the habits that you have been trained into and the foods that are promoted to you are designed to keep you in a sick space. So you have to remove yourself. You have to start realizing that instead of you managing a disease or a symptom or an illness, you need to start learning how to heal and focus on your healing. Grabbing fast food instead of you eating something that actually has nutritional value because it's convenient, is throwing you off. You sitting here thinking that, okay, well, my cycle is just something that I have to deal with regardless of how it is, instead of syncing with it and helping it and supporting the body throughout the month, because your cycle does not end just when you start menstruating, and it doesn't start when you just start menstruating. Your whole cycle is the whole 28 days. And so you should know each phase and how you eat for each phase. You have to stop using all these toxic beauty products, all these toxic cleaning products in your home, because they are endocrine disruptors. They throw off your hormone, and you don't realize that they stay in your space regardless if you can't smell them anymore. Think about how when you walk into a hospital and it smells like straight bleach, and you know it smells like straight bleach, and then you get nose blind to it and you don't smell the bleach anymore. You do this in your home. You don't open any windows. So you're sitting here. Think about the time, if you've ever been like this, because I have done this. When I was younger, I was using Fabuloso, and I'm allergic to Fabuloso. Which obviously they're all chemicals, but I used to clean with different chemicals. I was using Fabuloso for the first time, and it threw me off so bad. I went into an allergy attack and kept sneezing and sneezing and sneezing. And I was cleaning the bathroom with my door closed. I almost passed out, y'all. I was cleaning the bathroom with the door closed. Think about that in your entire home, because just because you're not about to pass out because you have air flowing through your home, you're still breathing in those terrible toxins, and they're still disrupting your hormones, regardless if you're in a closed room or if you're in an entire home. And you're rubbing this down on each surface, and you're touching this surface. You're breathing this in because you're not wearing a mask. These are chemicals, and these chemicals are throwing off your hormones because they're hormone disruptors. So when you're regularly cleaning with these things, because we like to be clean people, but you're using all these terrible toxic chemicals that have been promoted to you as something that you need to use in your home, because if not, the bacteria is going to thrive and you're going to get sick, and all this stuff that they tell you is not true. You're just adding on more toxins, which is going to make you sick. So you're sitting here thinking like, oh my goodness, somebody in my home had pneumonia and strep throat or whatever. So you're bleaching everything and you're rubbing it down, and then you wonder why you got sick right after. Your child was sick, and then you wonder why you got sick right after, because you're sitting there saying, well, you know, if your child is sick, you're going to get sick. But the only way that illness can thrive in the space of your body to make you sick is if it has something to feed off of. So during that time that, yes, your child was sick and there was illness in your home, instead of you actually cleaning and getting rid of it with a natural substance, you use the chemicals, which are going to further throw off the hormones in your body, which further along the disease and the illness that is thriving inside of your space in your home right now that your child is suffering from. And you know why? And that's because things like bleach, for example, they even have studies on this. So don't take my word for it. Go look up the studies of how bleach doesn't really do what they promote to you in those commercials. Bleach just coats the area and moves the bacteria around. So during 2020, when they were talking about how none of the cleaning products were working, they were really telling y'all true tea. But instead of y'all realizing that they were lying to you this whole time about what really works for cleaning, all they did was start promoting to you new products. Microban came out. Microban was the heavy thing people were using, right? Because that's the only thing that can get rid of it. And then Lysol started putting on there that it can help you get rid of all the bacteria. It's not going to completely diminish it, but it can help you maybe get rid of it in your air. So you're supposed to spray Lysol in your air. Y'all go days, y'all go months, y'all go years without nourishing your body and adding all these toxins in, without nourishing your organs, without supporting your system. And then you sit here and you think that you can do a cleanse, you can do a fast, you can do etc. for a couple of days or a week, and it's supposed to fix everything that you've been doing for your entire life. That's not how that works. That's not possible. What you have to start doing is realizing that you can feel like you again, but in order for you to feel like that and to stay in the space of I feel good and I feel like myself and I feel like I'm really just enjoying life, you have to change your lifestyle. There is no diet that is going to support you. Diet culture has put you in the space of being uncomfortable, hating your life, sitting here dealing with PMS, developing all these diseases and illnesses. Instead, change your lifestyle, which in return helps you be able to heal your body. So, if you were sitting here and you were looking for that balance and you want to understand what is going on with your inflammation and you want to break that down as well as breaking down the emotional cravings that you're having and really understanding how your old ways are not working for you and realizing that Romans 12:2 is real tea that you need to sit on every single day, of not conforming to this world, but rather daily renewing your mind and understanding what the Most High views is good and what He wants for you, then you need to be in my Balanced Woman Blueprint. Because what you need to do for yourself is learn how to use food as your medicine, understanding why you need to get rid of dairy and start replacing it with non-toxic, actual plant-based proteins in milks, cheese, etc., or whatever else that you were sitting here thinking that you have to have meat and dairy for. Sit here and learn how to make your own plant-based meals. Start supporting yourself with anti-inflammatory foods as well as products. Start healing yourself. Stop using these inflammatory oils. Stop sitting here using toxins in your kitchen, in your bathroom, in your pantries, and etc. And start eating for your body so that you release all the inflammation. And if you are ready to start learning how to support your liver, your kidney, your pancreas, and your gut in all these spaces, and stop emotionally eating, but getting to the root cause and actually understanding how to nourish your body, and getting to the space of actually understanding your body's signals and responding to it with help rather than ignoring it or using it as something to manage it, and have it in a simplified space so you're not frustrating yourself, so you don't flip back to your old habits or feel like it's impossible and think that this is not going to work for you. I have built a Balanced Woman Blueprint that is going to support you. The Balanced Woman Blueprint is happening on April 15th. I was about to say the 14th, but April 15th. This Balanced Woman Blueprint is going to help you be able to do all the things that you need to be able to do to get the foundation for you to actually start healing these problems. So if you are looking for that solution and you are looking for that masterclass is happening on April 15th. It is linked in my bio. You can go check out more information about that, or you can DM me and I will either send you the link directly, or you can ask me what questions you have specifically if you're not clarified on that. Before I hop off, I will take any questions that you have, because the time for us to stop managing these issues is now. We have to stop guessing. We have to stop managing. The world is not getting any better. They are playing on y'all's top and you're not realizing it. Thank you for the follows. And so if you are ready for a blueprint that maps out exactly what you need to do and how you start shifting, and actually gives you more information that I can't say on here, because there's a lot of things I can't say on TikTok because they keep restricting my live when I say these things. So I have to put it in a masterclass now. They will be exposing that masterclass on the 15th. Plenty of information will be given, as well as the fact to help support you in understanding what you need to do and why you need to do, and how you get to the space of healing. How I have lived a lifestyle for over 4 years of a plant-based lifestyle, and how you can get to that space as well, and giving you the foundation for you to start actually changing, for you to actually start making the connections more than what I can say on here. Because I said plenty on here, but that's as much as I can give. And this is basically the surface of what I can give. I can't go any deeper because they will take my TikTok. Thank you guys for the likes. I really appreciate it. So if you want to know more, if you want to dive in more, that masterclass is going to support you. What questions do you guys have for me? Because we need to break the generational curse that we are under. It's not that it runs in your family. It's the fact that you are under a generational curse that you have not broken, because the generational curse was passed down to you when you kept doing the same terrible toxic habits that all the other women and all the other men in the family have done. And they were programmed into you because children are absorbers. They absorb everything that the parents do, good or bad. So what questions do you guys have for me? Before I hop off, I will take them. And if you have any questions that you don't want to ask specifically on live in front of others, I do take DMs. You can DM me any questions that you have. I post my lives on YouTube. So if you miss this live and you want to catch more content, or you want to catch this full live, I post them all on YouTube. If you're watching this later on YouTube, do not forget to subscribe. Join my Wellness Wednesday email. The email for today, I'm pretty sure already went out. But if you are on my email list, every single Wednesday I send out a Wellness Wednesday. It's based on research that I have been searching, or any new information, breaking news, plant-based recipes, plant-based foods, plant-based tips, etc., etc. Just overall helping you better your wellness. I used to send out, I think last year I sent out for about 6 months, I want to say, I sent out plant-based meals as plant-based recipes every single week. Every Friday we had a food Friday. At one point I was cooking and sending out cooking plant-based meals on live every Friday. We were doing food Fridays. So I give out plenty of information for you to be able to get started and be able to be helped. If you want more in depth and you want to dive deeper and you want that full strategy that I can support you with, get in that masterclass. I'm telling you, it's going to be life-changing. It's going to be so impactful. I'm so excited for it. I'm not seeing any questions, so I guess I'm going to hop off and stop rambling. So like I said, my DMs are always open. You can catch me in there. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Wednesday, and I'm out, y'all.